The Wager's Echo. Lieutenant Nova Winters stood before the quantum mirror in her quarters aboard Stellar Peace Station, adjusting her diplomatic corps uniform for the third time. The midnight blue fabric with its silver trim represented humanity's best efforts at interstellar diplomacy, but today it felt constricting. She was about to meet with Ambassador Keelara V. Shiri, and Lysarians were notorious for their attention to detail. The station's artificial gravity fluctuated slightly, a common occurrence in this sector of space where various gravitational fields intersected. Nova steadied herself against the wall, her enhanced neural implants automatically compensating for the shift. Few knew about her augmentations, they were classified at the highest levels of the Terran Diplomatic Corps. Lieutenant Winters, the station's AI chimed, Ambassador V. Shiri has arrived at Conference Room Delta. Nova took a deep breath. Thank you, Iris. Please inform the ambassador I'll be there momentarily. The walk to Conference Room Delta gave Nova time to review what she knew about Lysarians. Their species had evolved from creatures similar to Earth's deep-sea bioluminescent life forms. Their skin possessed a natural phosphorescence that shifted with their emotions, and their language was as much about harmonic resonance as it was about words. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing Ambassador V. Shiri. The Lysarian diplomat stood near the viewport, her crystalline skin catching starlight and refracting it in mesmerizing patterns. Her formal attire, a flowing garment that seemed to be made of living light, rippled with subtle color changes. Lieutenant Winters, Keelara spoke, her voice carrying harmonics that made the room's crystal glasses vibrate faintly. Your punctuality honors us both. Nova bowed slightly, the proper greeting for a Lysarian of ambassadorial rank. The honor is mine, Ambassador. Shall we begin our review of the trade agreement? As they worked through the complex details of the proposed treaty between their peoples, Nova found herself increasingly fascinated by the way Keelara's skin shifted colors with each point of negotiation. Blues for contemplation, greens for agreement, and occasional flashes of gold when she was particularly pleased with a compromise. Hours passed, and as they reached a natural break in their discussions, Keelara's skin rippled with an amused violet hue. You speak our language well, Lieutenant. Most humans cannot manage the secondary harmonics at all. I've always had an ear for languages, Nova replied modestly, not mentioning her augmentations. Indeed. Keelara's skin shimmered with increased interest. Then perhaps you'd enjoy a small wager. A game we Lysarians often play with new diplomatic partners. Nova's training screamed caution, but her curiosity won out. What kind of wager? Among my people, each of us has what you might call a soul name, a unique harmonic pattern that resonates with our very essence. It is said that if someone can speak your soul name without being told it, your destinies are intertwined. Keelara's skin rippled with mischievous patterns. I wager you cannot guess mine. Nova knew she should decline. Her augmentations gave her an unfair advantage, they allowed her to perceive and reproduce sound frequencies well beyond normal human range. But something in Keelara's challenging tone made her respond, and if I could. Then by our most ancient laws, we would be bound together until the stars themselves grow dark. Keelara laughed, clearly not expecting Nova to succeed. But fear not, Lieutenant. No one has ever. Nova opened her mouth and released a complex series of harmonics. The sound began low, like the hum of crystal being stroked, then rose through octaves no human should have been able to produce. It wove together threads of sound that matched the subtle patterns she'd been observing in Keelara's bioluminescence all afternoon. The ambassador's skin went completely white, all color draining away in shock. How? She whispered, her own harmonics faltering. That's impossible. That was my soul name. Exactly as it was sung to me at my naming ceremony. Before Nova could explain, the station's alert system blared to life. All personnel, battle stations. Unknown vessels have emerged from hyperspace. Their weapons are hot. This is not a drill. Nova moved to the viewport, her training taking over. 3 ships had appeared, their design unlike anything in diplomatic databases. Their hulls seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Those are Shade Collective vessels," Keelara said, her skin now pulsing with alarmed red patterns. "They're radical isolationists who oppose all interspecies cooperation. They shouldn't be able to operate this deep in Allied space." The station shuddered as the first shots were fired. Nova's tactical training merged with her diplomatic instincts. "We need to evacuate. Now. The station's defensive capabilities won't hold against 3 capital ships." "Lieutenant," Keelara caught her arm as they headed for the door, "about what just happened." Later, Nova promised, though her mind raced with implications. She had just inadvertently initiated what amounted to a marriage ceremony with an alien ambassador, moments before their station came under attack. "Right now, we need to reach the emergency pods." As they ran through corridors already filling with evacuating personnel, Nova couldn't help but notice how Keelara's skin had taken on a new pattern, one that somehow resonated with her own heightened pulse. Whatever she had started by speaking that soul name, it was already changing them both in ways neither could have anticipated. The station rocked with another impact as they reached the evacuation deck. Nova's augmented hearing picked up the sound of hull breaches 3 decks below. They were running out of time, and she had a feeling their escape pod journey would be just the beginning of a much longer adventure, one that would test the bounds of both their cultures and the connection she had accidentally forged between them. As they strapped into the nearest pod, Nova caught Keelara's gaze. The ambassador's skin swirled with colors Nova had never seen before, creating patterns that seemed to reach out toward her. In that moment, she knew their lives had become irrevocably intertwined, for better or worse. The pod's launch sequence initiated, and as they shot away from the dying station, Nova could only hope they would survive long enough to discover exactly what that meant: resonance of truth. The escape pod tumbled through the quantum wake of the Shade Collective's weapons fire, its stabilizers struggling to compensate. Nova's augmented reflexes flew over the controls, making adjustments that would have been impossible for a normal human pilot. Beside her, Ambassador Keelara V. Shiri's skin pulsed with rapid shifts between emergency red and stealth black. "They're pursuing us specifically," Keelara observed, her harmonics tight with tension. 3 capital ships, yet they're focusing interceptors on our pod." Nova had noticed the same thing. "It's almost like they knew we'd be there." She executed another evasive maneuver, diving through a field of stellar debris. "Ambassador. I believe we're beyond titles now, Lieutenant," Keelara interrupted, her skin flickering with gentle azure amusement despite their situation. "You spoke my soul name. In my culture, that makes us more intimate than marriage." "Nova, then," she conceded, sparing a glance at her companion. "Keelara, what exactly does this bond mean?" "Because ever since I spoke your soul name, I've been sensing things. Harmonics that shouldn't be possible, even with my augmentations." The pod shuddered as a near miss from an interceptor's plasma cannon superheated the hull. Keelara's hands found the secondary weapons controls with surprising familiarity. "Your neural augmentations," she said, launching a countermeasure burst. "That's how you perceived my soul name, isn't it?" "Classified project called Harmony Bridge," Nova admitted, threading their pod through a narrowing field of asteroids. "Supposed to enhance human-Lassarian diplomatic relations by allowing us to better understand your harmonic language. But it was never supposed to let me perceive soul names. That shouldn't be possible. Unless," Keelara's skin shifted to a deep, thoughtful purple, "it was exactly what they intended." Before Nova could process that implications, their pod sensors screamed a warning. A quantum net deployed ahead of them, designed to snare smaller craft. Nova's enhanced reflexes calculated trajectories, above, below, through, but found no viable escape route. "Hold on," she warned, then did something completely insane. She cut their engines. The pod's momentum carried them forward as Nova redirected power to their forward shields. They hit the quantum net at an angle, using its own energy to slingshot them into a controlled spin. Warning lights flooded the cabin as systems redlined, but they broke through. "That," Keelara said, her skin blazing with impressed golden light, was not standard human diplomatic corps training. Special forces, Nova admitted, restoring power to their engines. Before they recruited me for Harmony Bridge. There's a lot about me that isn't in the diplomatic briefings. As there is much about me that isn't in yours. Kalara's skin settled into a pattern Nova hadn't seen before, one that seemed to reach out toward her with tendrils of living light. I am not merely an ambassador. I am Kovashi, a truth singer. My people's equivalent of your special forces, though we operate through sound rather than violence. Nova processed this as she set course for the Meridian Drift, a region of space where quantum currents made tracking difficult. Is that why they're hunting us? Because of what you are? Perhaps. Kielera touched a crystal at her throat, and suddenly the pod's interior resonated with a harmonic pattern that made Nova's augmentations tingle. Or perhaps because of what we could become together. The pursuing ships fell behind as they entered the drift, but Nova's tactical training told her this wasn't over. What do you mean, what we could become? Your Harmony Bridge project. Kalara's skin rippled with patterns that seemed to match the quantum currents outside their pod. It wasn't just about diplomacy, was it? They were trying to create humans who could truly understand our deeper harmonics. But they didn't expect one of you to actually succeed in perceiving a soul name. Nova's hands tightened on the controls. You're saying I was engineered for this? That our meeting wasn't coincidence? I'm saying, Kielera reached over, her cool fingers brushing Nova's temple, that perhaps both our governments have plans we don't fully understand. The Shade Collective attacks any threat to species purity. If they're hunting us, then someone told them we're exactly that kind of threat. Nova finished the thought, her augmented mind racing ahead to implications. The question is, who? A proximity alert cut through their conversation. Something massive was emerging from the quantum currents ahead of them. Nova's enhanced vision made out details before their sensors could resolve them, a vessel of Lacerian design, but unlike any she'd seen in briefings. By the first song, Kielera breathed, her skin paling to starlight white. That's a Kovashi Deep Hunter. They're not supposed to operate in allied space. Friend or foe? Nova asked, already plotting alternative routes. Neither. Kalara's harmonics carried a complex emotion Nova's augmentations couldn't quite translate. They're my direct superiors. The ones who assigned me to the diplomatic mission. Her skin flickered with uncertainty. The ones who insisted I test visiting diplomats with the soul name challenge. Nova's tactical mind put the pieces together. They wanted someone to succeed. Yes, Kalara's fingers found Nova's hand on the control panel. But I don't think they expected us to form a true bond. That kind of connection, it changes people. Creates something new. The Deep Hunter's engines flared, moving to intercept them. Nova had seconds to make a decision, surrender to Kalara's superiors and potentially learn the truth, or run deeper into the drift where the quantum currents could tear their pod apart. She looked at Kielera, saw the way her skin now pulsed in perfect synchronization with Nova's own heartbeat, and made her choice. She wouldn't let anyone, human or Lacerian, treat their connection as just another experiment. Hold tight, she said, pushing their engines past safety limits. We're about to find out just how good your people's deep hunters really are. As they dove into the heart of the Meridian Drift, quantum currents buffeting their small craft, Nova felt Kalara's hand tighten on hers. Whatever they were becoming together, whatever plans others had for them, they would face it on their own terms. The pod sensors detected multiple ships now in pursuit, the Shade Collective Interceptors, the Kovashi Deep Hunter, and if Nova's augmented hearing wasn't mistaken, something else moving through the quantum currents. Something that seemed to be broadcasting harmonics that made her neural implants resonate in ways they never had before. They were falling deeper into a conspiracy neither of them had suspected, bound together by ancient traditions and modern engineering. But as their pod raced through the chaotic heart of the drift, Nova realized she wouldn't have it any other way. She had found her harmony, even if it came with a price neither of them yet understood. Harmonies of the heart. The trading outpost of Haven's Cross floated like a tarnished jewel in the outer rim of the Meridian Drift. Nova guided their damaged pod into one of the less reputable docking bays, where questions weren't asked as long as the credits were good. Their pursuit through the quantum currents had cost them 2 stabilizers and most of their shielding, but they'd survived. The harmonics here are chaotic, Keelara observed as they made their way through crowded corridors. Her skin had adopted a muted copper tone that helped her blend in with the station's varied clientele. So many species, so many resonances. Nova understood what she meant. Her neural augmentations were picking up a cacophony of frequencies, some soothing, others discordant. Good place to hide, though. Even the Kovashi deep hunters will have trouble tracking your harmonic signature in this noise. They found a room in one of the station's lower levels, a small space with 2 narrow beds and walls that thrummed with the station's aging power core. Nova secured the door while Keelara moved to the room's single window, her skin shifting to match the stellar light filtering through the quantum-frosted glass. "You're in pain," Keelara said suddenly, turning to face Nova. "Your augmentations, the escape through the drift damaged them." Nova started to deny it, then stopped. There was no point hiding things from someone who could literally see her harmonic frequencies. The implants weren't designed for that kind of quantum stress. They're adapting, but it's not comfortable. Keelara moved closer, her skin rippling with concerned patterns. "Let me help. The Kovashi have techniques for healing through harmonic resonance." "I thought truth singers were more about combat and intelligence gathering," Nova said, but she didn't back away as Kelara's cool fingers found her temples. "We are whatever our people need us to be," Keelara replied. Then she began to sing. The sound wasn't just audible, it seemed to penetrate every cell of Nova's body. Her augmentations hummed in response, and the pain she'd been fighting began to ease. But something else was happening too. As Kelara's harmonics worked through her system, Nova started perceiving things differently. "You're light," she whispered, reaching up to touch Kelara's crystalline skin. "I can see the patterns, really see them. Not just with the augmentations." Kelara's song faltered for a moment. "That's not possible. Humans can't naturally perceive our quantum light patterns." But her skin told a different story, rippling with complex emotions that Nova could now read as clearly as human expressions. The soul name bond, Nova realized. It's changing both of us. She focused on the new sensations flowing through her enhanced nervous system. "Your people's quantum light, it's not just communication, is it? It's evolution. Your species evolved to manipulate quantum fields through bioluminescence and harmonics. As your species evolved to adapt and incorporate other species' strengths," Keelara responded, her skin pulsing with revelation. "The Harmony Bridge Project, they weren't just trying to help humans understand us. They were trying to trigger the next step in human evolution." Nova stood, pacing the small room as implications cascaded through her tactically enhanced mind. "That's why everyone's hunting us. A successful human-Lasarian bonding could prove that controlled evolution is possible. That species can choose to become something new together. Which threatens everyone who believes in genetic purity," Keelara added. "The Shade Collective, certainly. But also traditionalists among both our peoples." Her skin darkened with concern. "We need to know more about who engineered our meeting. About what they really want." Nova was about to respond when her augmented hearing picked up something in the station's background noise. A harmonic pattern that didn't belong. "We've got company." Multiple signatures, trying to mask themselves in the station's power frequencies. Kelara's skin shifted to combat readiness patterns. "Kovashi hunters. 3, no, 4 of them. They're coordinating through subharmonic channels. They moved together without discussion, gathering their few belongings. But before they could reach the door, Nova's augmentations detected new frequencies. More signatures entering this level. Different pattern. Shade Collective? No, Kelara's skin paled. Worse. Those are quantum clerics. Religious fundamentalists who believe cross-species evolution is blasphemy. She touched the crystal at her throat. They'll kill us both to prevent the bond from completing. Completing? Nova turned to her. You mean it's not finished? Kalara's skin flushed with colors Nova now recognized as embarrassment and attraction. A soul-name bond grows stronger over time, changing both partners until they achieve quantum harmony. We're only partway through the process. Nova's tactical training warred with the new instincts awakening in her enhanced systems. If we run, we'll never learn the truth about why we were brought together. But if we stay, we might not survive to complete the bond, Kalara finished. Her skin swirled with determination as she made a decision. There's another option. We can accelerate the process. Complete the bond now, before they reach us. The combined quantum signature might overwhelm their tracking systems. But? Nova prompted, hearing the hesitation in Kalara's harmonics. But it would mean fully committing to whatever we're becoming. No going back. No maintaining separate identities. We'd be something new. Something neither human nor Lissarian. The sound of boots in the corridor grew closer. Nova's augmentations calculated their odds of fighting through multiple Kovashi hunters and quantum clerics. The numbers weren't good. But as she looked at Kalara, saw the way their quantum frequencies were already starting to synchronize, she realized the numbers didn't matter. She had spent her life being modified to serve others' plans, the militaries, the diplomatic corps, the Harmony Bridge projects. For once, she wanted to choose her own path. How do we do this? She asked. Kalara's skin blazed with joy and nervousness. Do you trust me? Yes, Nova answered without hesitation, and was rewarded with a cascade of colors across Kalara's crystalline surface. Then sing with me, Kalara said, pulling her close. Sing my soul name, and I'll sing the harmony I hear in your quantum frequency. Let everything else fade away. As their pursuers converged on their location, Nova and Kalara began to sing. Their voices twined together in frequencies that made the station's power core stutter and quantum-frosted windows vibrate. Light began to pour from Kalara's skin, and Nova felt her augmentations responding in ways their designers had never intended. They were changing, becoming something new together. And as the door burst open behind them, Nova realized they were about to find out exactly what that meant. Discord's shadow. The quantum containment chamber hummed with frequencies designed to suppress both harmonic resonance and neural augmentation signals. Nova floated in the center, her skin now sharing the crystalline properties of Kalara's people, though with an iridescent sheen that marked her as something different. Something new. Through the quantum dampening field, she could still feel Kalara's presence in a nearby chamber. Their completed bond had transformed them both, Nova gaining Lissarian quantum light abilities, Kalara developing neural patterns that mimicked human augmentations. But before they could explore what they'd become, the quantum clerics had deployed resonance disruptors, leaving them vulnerable to capture. Fascinating, Dr. Van Reeth said, studying the readings from Nova's chamber. The scientist's cybernetic eyes whirred as they adjusted focus. The quantum integration is far more complete than our models predicted. You've achieved in hours what we thought would take months of controlled evolution. Nova's voice carried new harmonics, even through the dampening field. So you're the one who engineered our meeting. Who designed the Harmony Bridge project? One of many, Reeth replied, adjusting controls that made Nova's newly crystalline skin ache. The Convergence Initiative has been working toward this moment for decades. Lissarian truth singers, human genetic engineers, even some forward-thinking quantum clerics, all united in the belief that controlled evolution is the key to surviving what's coming. What's coming? But even as Nova asked, her enhanced senses, now merged with Lissarian quantum perception, were picking up patterns she hadn't noticed before. Subtle distortions in the quantum field, growing stronger. The drift, it's expanding. Good, Reeth nodded. Your perceptions are already adapting. Yes, the meridian drift is just the beginning. Quantum instabilities are increasing throughout known space. In 50 years, conventional space travel will become impossible. In 100, entire systems will be cut off from each other. Through their bond, Nova felt Kalara's recognition. The Lysarian had known something of this but hadn't understood the full scope. Unless, Nova said, species evolved to navigate quantum space naturally. Like we've begun to do. Precisely. Reith's cybernetic eyes gleamed. But controlled evolution takes too long. We needed a catalyst, a successful merger of human adaptability and Lysarian quantum manipulation. You two have proven it's possible. By violating both our people's laws, a new voice rang out. Nova turned to see High Cleric Zara enter the laboratory, her ceremonial quantum robes crackling with suppressed energy. This abomination must be undone before others learn it's possible. You're too late, Reith said calmly. The process has already begun spreading through both populations. Subtle quantum signatures, calling compatible pairs together. Evolution finds a way. Nova's tactical mind, enhanced by both augmentations and Lysarian quantum perception, suddenly understood. The soul name challenge. It wasn't just tradition. It was a test, seeing if humans were becoming sensitive to quantum harmonics naturally. And now we know they are, another voice joined in, one Nova recognized. Commander Victor Chen of the Harmony Bridge Project stepped from the shadows. But not quickly enough. The drift's expansion is accelerating. We need to replicate your transformation on a massive scale. Through their bond, Nova felt Kalara's horror match her own. You want to force evolution on unwilling populations, Kalara's harmonics rang with anger. That's worse than anything the Shade Collective advocates. We want to save both our species, Chen countered. The Convergence Initiative has ships standing by, ready to begin mass transformation procedures. Your successful merger proves the process works. And if we refuse to help you? Nova asked, though she already suspected the answer. Then we'll have to do it the hard way, Reith said. Extract what we need from your transformed genetics. It won't be pleasant, but... He was cut off by a new alarm. The facility's quantum sensors were detecting multiple incoming ships. Shade Collective vessels, a technician announced. They found us. But, there's something wrong with their quantum signatures. Nova felt it too, a familiar resonance that shouldn't have been possible. They're changing, she said. Natural evolution, sparked by exposure to quantum space. The drift isn't just a barrier. It's a catalyst. All the more reason to control the process, Chen insisted. If we don't manage this transformation, chaos will. The facility rocked with an impact. Through their bond, Nova felt Kalara testing the quantum dampening field, looking for frequencies they could use. Their shared consciousness found a pattern, a harmonic resonance that matched their transformed state. Nova began to sing, her voice carrying frequencies that made Reith's cybernetic eyes spark. Kalara joined in, their combined harmonics building into something that even the dampening field couldn't contain. Stop them. High Cleric Zara commanded, but it was too late. The quantum containment chambers shattered as Nova and Kalara's combined power reached a crescendo. In the chaos that followed, Nova saw their guards collapse, overwhelmed by the quantum harmonics. But Chen, Reith, and the High Cleric seemed prepared, activating personal quantum shields. Even if you escape, Chen called out as Nova and Kalara came together, their crystalline skin gleaming with shared light, you can't stop what's coming. Evolution will have its way. You're right, Nova replied, feeling Kalara's thoughts merge with her own. But it should be a choice, not a command. As if in answer to their defiance, the facility's walls began to buckle. The Shade Collective's attack was intensifying, but something else was happening too. The drift itself seemed to be reaching for them, quantum currents piercing the facility's shielding. The answer was never about controlling evolution, Kalara said, her voice harmonizing perfectly with Nova's. It was about learning to flow with it. Together, they reached out to the quantum currents with their combined abilities. They couldn't stop the changes coming to their peoples, but perhaps they could show a different way, one of willing transformation and natural harmony rather than forced evolution. As the facility began to tear itself apart around them, Nova and Keelara faced a choice: stay and fight the Convergence Initiative's forces, or escape into the drift's quantum currents to find others like themselves. Whatever they decided, they would face it as something entirely new in the universe, neither human nor Lysarian, but a glimpse of what willing evolution could create. The only question was whether their peoples would learn this lesson in time to survive the changes sweeping through known space, or if the Convergence Initiative's desperate measures would tear civilization apart in an attempt to save it. Symphony of Stars. The Meridian Drift blazed with unprecedented quantum activity. Nova and Keelara moved through its currents like luminous beings of pure energy, their transformed bodies adapting to conditions that would tear normal matter apart. Around them, the Convergence Initiative's facility continued to disintegrate, caught between the Shade Collective's attack and the drift's increasing instability. Through their completed bond, they shared every thought, every sensation. Nova's tactical awareness merged with Keelara's quantum harmonics, creating a hybrid consciousness that could perceive multiple layers of reality simultaneously. They saw Dr. Reith and Commander Chen retreating to their emergency quantum ships, while High Cleric Zara rallied her followers for a last attempt to purify what she saw as an evolutionary abomination. But they saw something else too, something that all the factions had missed in their desperate plans and political maneuvering. The drift isn't just changing space, Nova said, her voice carrying harmonics that made quantum particles dance. It's changing time. The patterns repeat fractally, Keelara agreed, her crystalline skin synchronizing with Nova's in complex rhythms. What's happening now has happened before. Will happen again. Evolution isn't linear, it's symphonic. Through the facility's dissolving walls, they watched Shade Collective ships engaging Convergence Initiative vessels. But the battle was changing as they watched. Ships on both sides were beginning to exhibit quantum characteristics, their hulls taking on crystalline properties as crews exposed to drift energy started their own transformations. They're all so afraid of losing control, Keelara observed, they can't see they're fighting against the universe's own harmony. A quantum blast from High Cleric Zara's weapon passed harmlessly through them, their transformed bodies automatically shifting to a frequency that couldn't be touched. Nova felt an almost overwhelming compassion for the cleric's fear. She could see now how terror of change had driven both sides to extremes. We can show them another way, Nova said, reaching out through their shared consciousness. Not forced evolution like the Convergence wants, not stasis like the clerics demand, but choice, Keelara finished. The harmony of willing transformation. Together, they began to sing. Not the battle harmonics of the Kovashi or the suppression frequencies of the clerics, but something new, a melody that carried the story of their own transformation. Their voices reached out through quantum space, touching the minds of everyone caught in the battle around them. Through their song, others experienced their journey. The initial challenge of the soul name, the fear and wonder of first connection, the choice to complete their bond even knowing it would change them forever. But more than that, they shared the joy they'd found in becoming something new together, something that honored both their origins while transcending them. The effect rippled outward like waves in the quantum field. Ships stopped firing as crews experienced the possibility of willing evolution. Nova and Keelara saw futures branching out from this moment, some dark with conflict, others bright with potential. The Convergence Initiative was right about one thing, Nova projected to all who could hear. The drift is expanding. We can't stop that change. But we can choose how to face it, Keelara added. Not through force, not through fear, but through harmony. Dr. Reith's voice cut through the quantum frequencies. You don't understand. There isn't time for natural evolution. The drift will consume everything. No, they answered together. It will transform everything. Like it transformed us. Like it's transforming you right now. Through their enhanced perception, they watched quantum crystals begin growing across Reith's cybernetic implants. Similar changes were manifesting throughout the facility and the ships around it. The drift wasn't just affecting space, it was offering everyone a choice. High Cleric Zara's quantum robes had begun to merge with her body, creating patterns of light that matched her inner resonance. Her voice shook as she asked, "What's happening to us?" "The same thing that happened to us," Nova explained gently. "The universe is offering you a choice. Fight the change and let it break you, or embrace it and help guide others through their own transformations." Through their bond, Keelara sensed a shift in the quantum currents. The drift is still expanding, but not to destroy us. To change us. All of us. Every species that's ready to evolve. Commander Chen's ship had taken on a crystalline appearance, its hull now resembling Lysarian architecture. How do we control it? "We don't," Nova and Keelara answered together. "We harmonize with it. Like this." They began a new song, one that taught harmony rather than control. Around them, others began to join in, first the Lysarians among the crews, then humans with neural augmentations, and finally everyone who could feel the quantum frequencies shifting through their bodies. The battle became a symphony. Ships that had been trying to destroy each other now moved in complex patterns through the drift, their crews beginning to understand that evolution wasn't something to be fought or controlled, but a dance to be joined. Nova felt Kelara's joy merge with her own as they witnessed the change spreading. Not everyone would choose transformation, some ships were already retreating from the drift, carrying those who preferred to remain as they were. But for those who stayed, who chose to embrace evolution's song, something wonderful was beginning. "What happens now?" someone asked through the quantum frequencies. Through their shared consciousness, Nova and Keelara saw countless possibilities. They could become teachers, helping others through the transformation. They could explore the deepening drift, mapping paths for those who would follow. They could work to bridge the gap between those who chose to evolve and those who didn't. But most importantly, they had proven that love, real love, the kind that made you willing to change everything you were for the sake of harmony with another, was more powerful than any forcing hand or restrictive doctrine. Now, they answered together, their transformed bodies glowing with shared light, "We write a new song. All of us. Together." As if in answer, the drift itself seemed to sing, its quantum currents carrying the promise of endless possibility. Around them, ships began forming into new patterns, crews of different species learning to harmonize their evolutionary journeys. Nova and Keelara rose through the quantum currents, their joined consciousness reaching out to all who could hear. They had found their destiny in each other, in the choice to become something gloriously new. Now they would help others find their own paths through the changing cosmos, one harmony at a time. The stars themselves seemed to shimmer with new frequencies as space itself began its long transformation. But thanks to a human officer who spoke a Lysarian soul name, and a truth singer who chose love over tradition, that transformation would be a symphony rather than a discord. It would be, they knew, a song that would echo through the quantum currents for generations to come.